Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, speaks out in a very interesting interview where he talks about this Jane Doe accusing Diddy and Jay-Z of doing some horrific crimes. And I'm wondering, does he actually believe her or no?
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
What's up? Gene Deal, former bodyguard for Diddy, speaks out. And honestly, he has been speaking out for a long time, for years, to be honest. He has his own YouTube channel. Definitely go check out the Gene Deal Show. But he goes on to this other really great platform called The Art of Dialogue. And he says some things about this Jane Doe. Now, this Jane Doe says that she was a little when Jay-Z, allegedly Jay-Z and Diddy did this unthinkable crime after a VMAs in 2000, where this crime happened in a room with also a female celebrity. We still do not know who that female celebrity is, but that female was there in the room, in audience, watching this crime go down between while Diddy and Jay-Z were allegedly doing this unthinkable thing. Now, really quick, this particular Jane Doe did do a very revealing and a polarizing interview with NBC. She spoke out. There was a lot of inconsistencies in her story. And of course, that has sprung up a lot of questions, a lot of speculations, a lot of side-eyeing, okay? Hard side eyes and soft side eyes revolving around this whole situation. Now, Gene Deal, who is there in the early time of when Diddy and Jay-Z were running around and all that stuff, he was there as Diddy's bodyguard. There's a lot of information that he knows about and that he's seen with his own two eyes back in the day. And that's why he's been out speaking so much, especially on this platform and on other platforms, including his own as well. But it's very interesting to hear what he has to say about this particular Jane Doe and her inconsistencies. He says, I was there. And we're going to let him do what he do.
How you feel about what him and Jay-Z being accused of?
Well, when I first heard the conversation, when I first heard the allegations, I said to myself, that's 2000. That's when I was there. And so I got to read what was said and how it went down and everything like that. And then first of all, I start seeing some inconsistency. But I don't want to criticize the victim or the person that said that they was a victim, but some of the statements and some of the things that I heard was incorrect. As far as I know what we did at that time. First of all, we did not use limousines. We used SUVs in 2000. You know what I'm saying? So when she said that it was a limousine that picked her up or she went with a limousine driver, I was kind of skeptical and wanted to hear more about her story.
Now, real quick, I just have to say this, though. There are limo services that actually do use SUVs. So, yeah, I see what he's saying, though. Technically, limos are limos. The really nice long body cars, okay? They're limos. But then there are limousine or limo services that actually do use SUVs. And some people will still call them limos. I don't know. It's very interesting, but people do still say, oh, it's a limo service, so that's what they still call it. Yes, it's still an SUV, but I've heard people say it otherwise. Now, but still, no matter what, that is an interesting piece of information that I think is important. Again, I agree with him that there are a lot of inconsistencies in her story. And I agree with him not trying to victim shame the actual person who's stepping forward, but it is still questionable about what's being said in the details. The devil is really in the details, but we've already talked about a lot of those things, what those details are, especially her being autistic, suffering some sort of head trauma over the past, in her life as well. Those are all big factors to put into consideration with this whole case, right? And only time will tell. And if she has any evidence, any receipts, I would love to see those receipts. So hopefully Busby, her lawyer, Tony Busby, is actually presenting those things and just, is going to be dropping that like it's hot here very, very soon, especially when it comes to discovery. But let's continue.
So now she said that the limousine driver, got her into a party, but it's somehow she had to went to a gas station. And if you know that area, there's no gas stations unless you walk all the way up to 96th Street. That's like 40 something blocks. So I was like, all you had to walk to the west side, which is another 14, 15 long blocks. And then you would have to know where you're going to find that gas station because it's close to the West Side Highway. Unless she went all the way downtown, and then who gonna pick her up from that far away from the the venue where she went to? So, and then she said something about that. Oh well, the allegation says something about that she went with the limo driver. So did the limo driver drop puffing them off or jay them off, then came back and got her, then take her to the party? It was just a lot of inconsistencies. I was like, first of all, we didn't even use limousines. You understand? Bad Boy used SUVs. So I found those being real inconsistent on what the story she was talking about.
Now, again, what he's saying is very true. The inconsistencies are everything. The inconsistencies really do stick out like a sore thumb. Even Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, did come out. He did a huge presentation, PowerPoint presentation on a Jumbotron, had a press conference basically saying, listen, the timeline ain't timelining. The math ain't mathing. There's information in here that just doesn't make any sense. There's no way that they would have been able to, this particular limo driver would have been able to pick them up, pick Jay-Z and Diddy up, drive them out to the party, come back, pick her up, drive back out to the party again in a short matter of time, and still have a crime happen within that window of time. So yeah, there's a lot that's being said here. Yeah, that I agree. Yeah, the math ain't mathing, but still, there still could be truths in this situation. We still got to leave that on the table until there's evidence that is presented, right?
And then for limousine driver who would know us, because our drivers didn't drive limousines, how you gonna tell somebody to get in the party? He had to go through security for that. And that just wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened. So I don't want to beat up the victim or the person that says that they are a victim, but I know for myself, there's a lot of inconsistencies in what she was talking about regarding her being with somebody from Bad Boy, getting into a Bad Boy party, you understand, with a limo driver that we didn't even know. So
that's massive too. Now he's saying that it was a limo driver, allegedly a limo driver that they didn't even know. Now, this is somebody who worked with Diddy around that same time and was a bodyguard for him, worked closely with Diddy. So you'd think that he would be like, oh, I remember that dude. And yeah, I remember that guy for doing X, Y, and Z. You got to also remember, Gene Deal is also someone who's been out here speaking out on behalf of all these victims. He's one of those people that's been saying like, no, Diddy did that. Don't question anything. He's a monster. That's what he's basically been saying that, for lack of, just not trying to rephrase what he has said, but he has said basically to summarize that this man is a monster and that, yeah, he most definitely did this. So it's interesting for him to come forward, and it is very telling for him to come forward and say, well, here's some inconsistencies that I see outside of what Spiro has been saying and what Jay-Z has been saying in these statements as well. Here's some other pieces that just don't make any sense to me too. And I feel like if he knew something right now, he'd be saying the hell out of it right now, because he's been saying some things about Jay-Z as well, not only just Diddy. So don't get it twisted. Just because he's up here talking about this, it does not mean that he's protecting Jay-Z. He's been saying things about Jay-Z too. So this is interesting and very telling.
Not trying to beat up, not trying to save Jay or Diddy.
There it is. Boom.
But me personally, I didn't believe her story.
Woo!
I mean, that says a lot coming from you being somebody that worked for Bad Boy at that time.
Well, what it says is that these people got to understand that there were people that was around, and then some people like myself, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm gonna tell what I know, no matter what somebody else feel. You understand? And I ain't super save Puff. I ain't super save Jay. You understand? I'm not doing that. But I am going to tell the truth, you understand, regarding at that time when I was around, that we did not use limousines. There's no limousine driver going to come to security and get nobody in no party at all. You understand? At all.
You personally, do you believe her?
My personal belief is that I can't say what happened to her, but regarding the allegations that she made and the picture that she painted, I don't believe what she was saying.
Dang. Listen, y'all. First off, this is crazy. Because one, he is one of the main people to stand out here and sit here and say that, you know, he out here talking on Diddy. He out here talking on Jay-Z. You even heard him just say that a second ago. He's like, I'm not here trying to defend any of these dudes. All right. But this story doesn't seem to be consistent. There's major inconsistencies in her story, and those need to be accounted for. Or they need to be accounted for, and there needs to be either corrections or proof. That's very much true. There needs to be some sort of proof here, because it's crucial what's true and what is not. And that's the thing I think that's driving everyone up the wall, because we want to know the truth, especially when it comes to somebody who is coming forward, saying that they're a victim as well, and then also throwing in a very major name, Jay-Z, on top or alongside Diddy. That is some serious allegations that need to have serious proof. But when you have somebody out saying things that are not adding up, or they're not connecting, some weird stuff. Now, I'm going to play a little bit more of this, but I highly recommend you guys going and checking out The Art of Dialogue. Really fantastic platform. The dude's been out here putting in the work, okay? And he has a lot of interviews with Gene Deal. Don't sleep on this platform. Don't sleep on this channel. It's a very good one, okay? But I'm just going to play a little bit more, because I think he talks about the one part that really did it in for me, as far as my personal opinion about this whole case, that makes me side-eye the hell out of this case. Again, she could very well be a victim. She could have her timeline wrong. That is very possible. But there's one part that's just a little bit strange to me that just doesn't make any sense. And I think he talks about it right about in this area here. I'll point it out here in a second.
And being 13 years old, that's happening, walking around the streets of New York. I think they said she was from Alabama or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Nah, bro. Not walking the streets of New York, finding a gas station. Nah. People in New York who've been in New York all their life can't find a gas station.
No doubt.
You understand what I'm saying?
He ain't wrong with that. It's tough. There's like maybe 3, and they're like way up in, you know what I'm saying? They're up in Queens or something like that. But man, all right. But still, he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong with that. And also, she lived in upper state New York, if I'm correct. All right. And about 5 hours away from New York City, which is also very interesting. And because the timeline, like we've been talking about, the timeline is a bit odd. Okay, the timeline ain't timelining, y'all.
They can't find a gas station. It's about, unless you go below 34th Street, 34th Street, is about 2 gas stations in Manhattan. One on the east side on 1st Avenue, one on 12th Avenue, a mobile station and a Shell station. And you got to know exactly where they at to find them things. And there's no way from her walking from the VMAs and to where she says she walked to a gas station and everything. Nah, bro. I think they got to pick up a better story. So to answer your question, do I personally believe that she went to a gas station, she got with a bad boy driver that was in a limousine? Nah, not a bad boy driver. Not at all.
If you remember, what do you recall from that night?
Well, what I'm trying to say to you is this, is that if it was a VMA party and Puff Wolf was dropped off or whatever like that, it's not a what you call. It's not it wasn't a limousine, bro. I don't remember much about that, but I do remember the fact that we did not use no limousines.
Now, again, let me just say this too. Again, now she could have said limousine, meaning that there was a limo driver, like a limo service, and they were driving these SUVs. That is very possible. There are limo services that do use SUVs for sure. Now, it is important to get your story correct. I just want to say that too. It is important to make sure that you have the facts correct. If she jumped into a limo, then she must have jumped into a limo, and that's it. There's no question about it, because instantly we're thinking limo. We're not going, oh, well, it could have been an SUV, blah, blah, blah. No, we're instantly thinking that she got into a stretch limo and was driven to a party. Not, oh, okay, let's just think either SUV or long-bodied vehicle that took her over there. No. And I think that's very, very important as well. The devils are in the details. Let's not forget that too. But still, it's not like she can go back and retract, change, or fix her story anymore. What's done is done. As soon as she does do that, it can absolutely destroy everything. It can destroy even her story and the credibility of her own lawyer as well. Now, I know that people have been saying that, oh, this all happened in 2003, not in 2000 and all that. But imagine her going out right now and saying, oh, no, it happened in 2003, not in 2000. Do you realize her credibility would just get destroyed? It'd be annihilated, especially in the court. The judge would look at that and go, nah, that's too questionable. We need to throw this whole thing out. We need to dismiss this entire thing. It's not worth the time. Think about it, guys. So what she said in that legal document, it's as if she etched that thing in stone. Unfortunately, and fortunately, depending on what side of the aisle you are standing on. But this, I think he says it here, and I'm going to say it anyway, just in case. But the thing that really is the main thing that threw me off is the fact that in her story is the fact that she lived 5 hours away. She snuck out of her house, was driven out there by a friend who now is deceased. That person is no longer on this planet. But then she calls her dad after this crime. She finds a gas station at a house in New York that they still are wondering where she found this. Where was this party? Where was this white house with a U-shaped driveway, gated U-shaped driveway that she was able to sneak out of or run away from? Go to a gas station, call her dad and go, yeah, I'm 5 hours away. I snuck out at the age that I am. I snuck out. I lied to you. I am here 5 hours away in New York City. Here's the other factor. The fact that the dad doesn't even remember. Now, some people are saying he got paid off. That's a possibility. He could have been paid off. I don't know about all that. All I know is the dad is sitting here saying, if I would have remembered something like that. I definitely would have remembered something big like that. Driving a 10-hour round trip when his daughter actually snuck out. That's a massive piece of information that now, like I said, is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are even looking at this and side-eyeing it even harder, because the story is not fully consistent. And that's the frustrating part of it all as well. But let's continue on. I think he does say this in here. Maybe he doesn't, but we're going to take a listen to it anyway.
You asked me what I think about it. I'm listening to what her dad said about it.
Bang! There we go.
Her dad said it never happened. Dad said he never had that situation where her dad didn't even believe the story. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody being 13 years old and being able to travel around New York like that. She said her dad picked up, but he don't remember or recall none of that. So I can't be mad at him. He came out and told the truth. It's a story that she made up.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I leave this up to you guys because this one's a tough one, y'all, because I get it. There's going to be people out here that are going to believe her, and then there's going to be people out here that don't believe her at all. And it's understandable on both sides. I get it. This is a very frustrating one because the story does not have solid pieces of evidence. That's number one. Two, the storyline, the timeline, etc., ain't timelining. The math ain't mathing. And I can see that frustrating a lot of people, and understandably, rightfully so. I mean, do we expect anything otherwise with this situation? When you see inconsistencies, what happens? We all react to it and we go, oh, wait, that's weird. Now we start thinking. And once we start thinking, that leaves room for reasonable doubt, etc. Now, here's the thing. Do you believe the Jane Doe or not? I leave that question up to you. But I also say that when we hear a bodyguard who has been adamantly speaking out against Diddy, and also has been speaking out on Jay-Z as well, he's even sitting here going, I don't know, man. I was there. Those inconsistencies are real and really off. I mean, it does leave a little bit room for questions, and it makes it definitely makes you start to think about things a little bit more, especially when you got somebody who is so adamant about getting the story out there, the truth, his own perspective on what he has seen working for Diddy, and then suddenly he turns on a dime to sit there and go, well, her story isn't right. It doesn't make any sense. You know for a fact he would stand 10 toes down right now if her story was consistent. And he would sit there and go, I was there and I saw all those things. But in this situation, he's saying, nah, I didn't see it and her story is off and I don't believe it. So what say you guys? What are your thoughts on this? I wanted to share this with y'all because I thought this was a very big moment. And again, I don't think there's any wrong answer right now because we don't have all the evidence. We don't have all the information. And the only people that actually do have the information is the victim and Tony Busby. That is if he actually has smoking gun evidence. But like I said, only time will tell. And of course, when they do actually have discovery, if this goes beyond the paperwork, if these motions, if this judge actually allows this to see the inside of a courtroom, yeah, there will be evidence that will drop. And I'm sure if the evidence is solid and is smoking gun evidence, I'm sure it's gonna wake us all up. And also, if they don't have any evidence, it's gonna wake us all up as well. Anyway, guys, comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Does this sway you? Does it confirm your theories even more or not? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And we'll talk very soon. Much love to you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We'll talk soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.